Okay, some additional notes. Like I said, a lot of people are calling the same companies, they're pitching them the same thing. I would love you to start using this script. Okay, now you have different situations, right? A lot of people call and ask and offer cheap websites. So you can tell them this, you can explain them the technology, but also that most of them have no track record, they have no proof, and website is just a tool. We've got 30 years and thousands of projects behind us, okay, to prove how we're different and why our approach is based on our experience in the industry gets results. Right? Most of the others, they just selling websites, and those websites are probably made in like half an hour. And what we sell is results, right? And that's a reason for a transfer. That's a reason for them to talk to Kevin. But again, most of that does not make a lot of sense because if they're not convinced there's a value behind it, if they do not have a desire or problem identified first, all of that makes no sense. None of it. Like I said, if they have not confirmed they're willing to grow, if they have not confirmed they actually want more business, none of it matters. Like if you don't have a dog and somebody tells you, "Hey, I have 30 years experience in producing the best dog food possible. It's super optimized for nutrients and vitamins and proteins, and your dog will have the best fur. She will be in a great mood, blah blah blah." You're like, dude, I don't have a dog. He'd be like, listen, most of other companies trying to sell you dog food have no track record. They have no proof that they have not been in business long enough to understand what dogs need, you know? And let me show you, blah, blah, blah. You're like, I don't have a dog. I don't need dog food. You know what I mean? So you can use that when you're meeting objections after you've confirmed interest. But before the interest is confirmed, this is not going to sell, probably. Now, what I wanted to also talk about, some of them saying, hey, we've been burned before, a lot of promises other guys made, yada, 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 yada. Nothing happened. So by leaking roof example, here what I mean is if you're talking to a roofing company and they're saying, hey, I know we worked with like 3 agencies and no one could do anything for us. And they're basically saying they have been burned before or they've had bad experience before. And to that, you can answer, hey, if your roof was leaking and the company showed up and couldn't fix it, so your roof is still leaking. Maybe it's not leaking as bad as before, but still, you spent money, you didn't get a result. Your roof is still leaking. Like, would you continue living with the leaking roof, or would you actually try to hire another contractor, but a quality one? Because, you still need to fix your roof, right? If one or two contractors were bad, it doesn't mean all of them are bad. It's just a matter of finding the quality ones with a good track record, and then you can switch to basically this. We've got 30 years, thousands of projects. We can prove any claim. And if you're qualified, you can even go into promising them some sort of a guarantee, as long as they're qualified. And only Kevin or a senior like executive would be able to confirm the guarantee, but for some clients, we would be able to guarantee something. For instance, if their website is old and that it has a lot of authority, it means that if we redesign it, they will start seeing a lot more leads right away, pretty much like the first week. Okay. So leaking roof example, you can apply it to any industry, right? If it's a random industry you don't know much about, you can still use a leaking roof example. Okay. Now this is some talking points about pricing when you're have a price objection and people are saying, yo, tell me how much it costs. First of all, you can say this. I don't want to waste your time unless you're really interested in getting enough monthly revenue to justify the investment. It doesn't even make sense to talk about pricing. But ballpark anywhere from like a small monthly number up to like 5, 10, 20K scales straight to your goal. If 5, 10K scares them, again, you can say that's the only question that matters, whether it makes sense to invest $1 to get 10, 20 back. Okay. And again, swing to specific example. Ask them about the dollar value. Um, just you have to like relax into that conversation, all right? Because you're not really arguing with them, right? You're trying to like really, really understand like where they're at and just, acknowledge you're talking to them for the first time. They have no idea who you are. It's natural for them to reject you because that's their default mode of operation. That's why the opener starts with, can I have 20 seconds of your time? And then you can tell me if it's relevant, that you're interrupting their day. But you got to keep in mind that you're still offering value, right? We can make their business better, right? We just have to understand if they want to do this, we can achieve it. And that's the only question that matters. And a little note on pronunciation. When you're pitching them, when you're delivering the part where it says, we rebuilt a website for Windows and Doors company, I noticed that sometimes when you know that line so well, you kind of want to deliver it really fast. I want you to slow down and I want you to use more tonality and more precision because sometimes the connection is bad and you can't really hear how it sounds on the other side. They can have like external sounds. Like I said, connection can be bad. And that line is very important. And it's important for them to really understand what you're talking about, right? And so when you're talking about we rebuilt a website for Windows and Doors company and so on and so forth, I want you to pace it, go up and down with it, really, really focus on delivering it very like cleanly and clearly, which means the part when you say rebuild, you say we rebuilt a website for a Windows and Doors company, and it delivered them 135 leads in 1 month. And we also redesigned a website for solar and HVAC company. Just make sure they understand what you're saying there, because before that, you don't know. Before that part in the conversation, they have no idea what you're calling about. So if you rush through it, they may not actually catch what you're saying. So they will miss the importance, they will miss the value. So focus on slowing down, going up and down, and really like pronouncing the words so they don't just get the words, but they get the importance of how cool it is. That we generated that many leads for this company. We rebuilt a website for another company. And as soon as we did that, they started getting qualified customers, dialing them, like several of them in the first week. So that's a very important part of the script. Uh, so pronunciation, super, super important. You've learned a lot of the script right now, so you can start adding some variations, but just please don't rush the important parts. Make sure they're delivered with the right tonality, pace, etc. And an additional point, if you make it too fast, if you rush through it too much, it puts you in a position of someone who's not certain that what he's saying has value, and that's why he's rushing through it. Like, confident people in power, they never rush. They speak slowly, you know. And so when you're like too fast and you're blah, 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 it's like you're trying to squeeze it in before you get interrupted. And subconsciously, you're putting yourself in the wrong position this way, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's on differentiation, pricing, and tonality. Super, super important.